Marc Márquez's triumphant return to the top of MotoGP in 2025 confirmed what many in the paddock already knew. The 8-time world champion remains one of the most formidable talents the sport has ever seen. Yet, according to Prima Pramac Yamaha rider Jack Miller, a repeat of that dominance in 2026 is far from guaranteed. While Miller openly acknowledges Marquez's extraordinary experience and race-winning quality, he believes the competitive landscape of MotoGP is shifting rapidly, and not necessarily in Ducati's favour. Marquez enters the 2026 season as the reigning MotoGP world champion, having claimed his 7th Premier Class title in 2025. The Spaniard's resurgence silenced critics who doubted whether he could ever return to his devastating best after years of injuries and adaptation struggles. However, Miller insists that MotoGP's competitive balance has never been tighter. "Marc will be competitive, we know that," Miller said. "But will it be the same old story? I don't think so." The Australian believes every manufacturer and rider has spent the winter analysing weaknesses and refining their packages. With increasingly fine margins between bikes, dominance is no longer guaranteed, even for a rider of Marquez's calibre. MotoGP in 2026 is expected to be one of the most fiercely contested seasons in recent history, with multiple factories capable of fighting for wins rather than just podiums. Miller also highlighted the growing threat posed by Aprilia and Honda, both of whom are targeting a major step forward in 2026. "I think Marco Bezzecchi is very strong. Aprilia are working extremely well. Honda are getting stronger too. I can't wait for the season to start," he added. Aprilia's steady development curve and Bezzecchi's consistency have already made them serious contenders, while Honda's renewed technical direction appears to be paying off. After years of struggling to match Ducati's performance, the Japanese manufacturer now looks increasingly capable of fighting at the front again. If both teams continue their upward trajectory, Ducati's stranglehold on the championship could finally be broken. Although Marquez remains one of the most complete riders on the grid, the conditions that helped him dominate in 2025 may not fully translate to 2026. Firstly, rivals now have a full season of data on Marquez's riding style with Ducati machinery. Teams will be better prepared to counter his strengths, particularly in race strategy and tyre management. Secondly, the overall performance gap between manufacturers is shrinking, with Aprilia and Honda making visible gains, and Yamaha working hard to rebuild. Marquez may find himself fighting in a much more crowded battlefield. Finally, the depth of talent in MotoGP has never been stronger. Young riders are no longer content with fighting for top 5 finishes. They are targeting victories and championships. The MotoGP paddock is currently enjoying its winter break, but preparations are well underway. Pre-season testing will begin in Malaysia from 3 to 5th of February 2026, followed by the Thailand test on 21 to 22nd of February. Several teams have already unveiled their 2026 machines, including Pertamina Enduro VR46 Racing Team, Aprilia Racing and Prima Pramac Yamaha, Miller's new home. These early launches signal just how serious manufacturers are about challenging for the title in 2026. Jack Miller's comments reflect a growing belief inside the paddock. MotoGP is entering a new era of competitive balance. Marc Márquez may still be the benchmark, but he is no longer racing in an environment where one rider or one team can dominate unchecked. The convergence of technology, rising rider talent, and aggressive development from rival factories has transformed the championship into a true multi-team battle. While Marquez's experience and mental strength remain unmatched, his road to another title in 2026 will be far more complex than it was in 2025. If Aprilia and Honda continue their progress, and if Yamaha's rebuilding project gathers momentum, MotoGP fans could be set for one of the most thrilling seasons in modern history. One thing is certain, Marc Márquez will not have it easy. Beyond the technical evolution of the bikes, the mental battle in 2026 will be just as decisive. Marquez is renowned for his relentless confidence and aggressive racecraft, but sustained pressure from multiple rivals could test even his legendary composure. When victories are no longer routine, the psychological edge that once defined his dominance becomes harder to maintain over a full season. Jack Miller's comments also hint at a broader shift in MotoGP's power structure. For years, Ducati's superiority gave its riders a clear advantage. Now, as rival manufacturers narrow the performance gap, race outcomes are increasingly influenced by adaptability rather than raw machinery alone. This could expose any weakness in even the most established riders. Another key factor will be consistency. Marquez's 2025 title was built on a combination of victories and damage limitation on difficult weekends. In 2026, however, the sheer number of competitive riders could make every mistake far more costly. A single poor result may have greater consequences in a tighter championship fight. Younger riders in particular are entering the season with fewer inhibitions and greater belief. Having seen Marquez regain his crown, many now view him not as an untouchable icon, but as a rival who can be beaten. This shift in perception could lead to more aggressive on-track battles and higher-risk strategies throughout the season. From a strategic perspective, teams are also expected to experiment more with race tactics. Tyre management, fuel consumption, and late race pace could become decisive factors in determining who controls the championship narrative. Marquez's traditional strength in sprint-style intensity may face new challenges against rivals who excel in long-run consistency. The calendar itself could also play a role. With a demanding mix of technical circuits and high-speed venues, the 2026 season will reward versatility more than ever. Riders who struggle to adapt to different track characteristics may find themselves losing ground, even if their bike performs well in specific conditions. For Miller and Pramac Yamaha, the season represents an opportunity to disrupt the established order. While not yet title favourites, their progress could influence the outcome by taking valuable points from the leading contenders. In a championship this close, even midfield teams can shape the title race. Ultimately, Marquez's quest for another crown will be defined by resilience rather than dominance. If he can thrive in an environment where victories must be fought for rather than expected, it will further cement his status as one of MotoGP's greatest competitors. But if the pressure proves too intense, 2026 could mark the beginning of a new competitive era.